Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we ride the wave of the digital era, it is becoming easier to get connected with the global reach. A world of information is at our fingertips with the click of a button or a simple voice command. And as technology continues to advance, students need to grow their learning with it. Technology is no longer a motivating factor when it comes to learning. It is a must. It's something that needs to be incorporated in the future of education to ensure students are equipped with the skills to cope in a world dependent on technology. Technology can change learning forever, and we need to embrace it with manipulate it to our advantage. Today we have with us dedicated and highly motivated educational administrative professional with a proven track record for implementing successful programs that produce lasting results. She is an excellent orator and a skillful writer. Her motto in life is, I believe in leading by example. Ladies and gentlemen, she is none other than Mrs. Kalyani Patnaik, Principal Hiranandani Foundation School, Powai. She will speak on how future class ideologies will be a perfect blend of technology, critical thinking, and emotional advancement. Ma'am, request you to please take over.
Thank you so much, Pradipto, for that wonderful introduction and kind words. I must just say that I'm a very simple principal like any one of you who love to talk about any topic related to education, because that has become a part of us, and we feel so passionate about it, come what may, whether it is storm, stress, or strife. We are indeed going through a very, very critical time. And to be given platforms such as this, I am so grateful to the ABEA Academy of Masterclass platform, because this is a wonderful idea the Aditya Birla World School has done under your leadership and the leadership of your trustees and management, to see that we from different parts of the country can reach out to one another, have one single voice as to how we can take our children forward to the next level and to the next level till they reach their dream destination. Today, it's all about COVID. It's all about how are we going to run our classes. It's all about satisfying the parents. It's all about accomplishing our tasks. Who thought that one day we had to just shut the school? Even if there's a war, we get that inkling, right? That yes, the things are brewing up and there may be a war and we have to get ready and everything. But this disease just spread and it was a very big pandemic. Now, I have to just share a small little WhatsApp with you, which goes viral, and if one gets one kind of a WhatsApp, everybody gets the same one. And it just said on a very lighter note that on the 31st of December 2019, why the hell did we stay awake and at the stroke of midnight, just scream out Happy New Year and welcome the 2020, not knowing that we would fall into a mess and a chaos like this? Now, well, the WhatsApp meant that, but I took it in a different way. I took it in a different meaning. So I said, no, it is actually telling us that there is going to be a newness, a new beginning, and there's going to be a new emerging leaders, new emerging classes. So today, I would like to just share my views. I would like it to be interactive, but I'm just beginning to get into all these webinars and talks and seeing how best we could, connect with one another. And I'm sure we're going to discuss by the end of all that I have shared with you. Keeping now, after the school has shut, it became a very common word, WFH, work from home. A little child of 3 years also knows that mom is on call or dad is on call. Now, even a teacher's child knows that mom is online. She is busy, she's working, and she's working from home to get her lessons ready. So this is the newness that has come in us, and this is something that we are getting used to it. By now, I think within 1 month, most of us have got used to this wonderful newness, and gone are the days when we thought that WFH was only done in the corporate sector. Now it can be work from home for all sectors, and for education, it also works very well. Because you can take a child out of the school, but can you take the school out of the child? You can never do that. Because the school always remains in the teacher, remains in a parent, it remains in the society, it remains in the child as well. So this newness is something that we have to tackle with. And what are the classes going to be like? Because when I talk of leadership earlier, we thought leadership was only confined to the principal, head of the school, or head of department. But here, the leader in the classroom will be the teacher. And the teacher is the supreme commander in her class, she or his class. And this is what the role is going to change quite a bit. And we are going to talk about this change. I know the topics would be a little, points would be overlapping, but what I would like to bring into this evening is to tell you that our role is going to become more challenging till we settle down well after the post-COVID classes begin. We keep the core value of education always intact. Education will not change. The education, as what we learned in our days of training, will always remain the same. For example, when we first went into our training college, the first thing we learned was Gandhiji saying that education means the drawing out the best in child, man, body, mind, and spirit. It may be education in Gurukul days, it may be education in a madrasa, it may be education being imparted in a church school, but education as a core value looks into how to bring out the best in a child, man, body, and spirit. Because there are few perspectives, few parameters that education works on in bringing the best in the child and in shaping the personality of the child. The personality of the child can be shaped in various ways, and the most important of the personality shaping happens in the moral, mental, and emotional. Moral, the ethics, child grows up with values, and these days it is more important because ethics only makes a person complete. Mental, we are facing a lot of pressures and stress, which has to be kept at bay, and it can only be done through good education. And emotional well-being teaches you to be resilient. And today, we do find that these three topics, these three perspectives is something that we cannot mess around with. And whether there is a machine helping us out or no machine, or whether there is artificial intelligence, or whether it is just talking on a 1:1 basis, but the perspectives and the core value of education shall remain the same. Because what we have to look into is to bring out the physical, psychological, emotional, and the cultural aspect of a child. The physical would be to keep them agile, keep them more, it's no longer that it's only the sports, but there could be various other arena where the children need to be exposed to. Psychology plays an important role because today it is the need of the hour to develop a very positive bent of mind, because if you don't have that, then every ambition of yours can become a stumbling block for you. And coming to the emotion, well, I think I saw beautiful reading the other day. You know, there are so many WhatsApps come, so many clippings come. Not all of them I read, but some of them can be really beautiful. It talks about, why should I always win? Why should I always be a winner? Because you can't win all the time. We have had students who have been doing exceedingly well in school, right from class 1 and only coming first in the class. But when board exam came, the child never topped the class, but was not bad enough. But that doesn't mean the child, but emotional strength in the child, which we taught in the school, has taught the child that, well, that is not everything. And so this is also important in education. And culture, I think we have to keep it rooted, because if we don't keep our culture rooted, the identity is not there. And so there has to be some kind of identity, otherwise it can lead to a great identity crisis. So this is just on the periphery to tell you that these core principles, the core values, the core thought of education cannot be changed at all. Now, what changes? It is the dynamism in education. It is the dynamics in education. Now, it is the society changes. And we cannot say that there'll be no metamorphosis. There has got to be a change. And if you don't embrace the change, you don't progress, right? So a dynamic economy begins only with a good dynamic education. I am for one for challenges. I am for one to be in sync with the younger generation, to know that this is required for their time. It's so easy for us to just say, no, these children, they think of too much about cell phones and all. But you see, that is going to become a part of the day. Like Pradipta just now said, that you cannot do without technology. Technology is here to stay. Natural calamities are bound to come. These are all the law of universe. But the sooner we realize that this dynamic economy, if you want a dynamic society, a good dynamic education is important. And this is the right time. 2020 has been a unique year, and we are all lucky to be a part of this uniqueness. Because I call it that whatever, it is actually the ringing in of the new and ringing out of the old. We have to keep the old out, and we have to bring in new changes, because the world is all about artificial intelligence, it is all about time management, it's all about space crunch, it is all about connectivity. So what do you think the classes are going to be like? Now, I was just telling you a few minutes back that whoever thought the school would have been shut? And when it was shut, oh God, we were not even prepared for online classes. If you ask me, I did not know much about Zooming. I did not know much. I thought that was only a department of the ICT and probably, the other sectors when they want to have some meetings or when we go for trainings, and that's it. But we did know that it's going to be a part of life. Neither did the children know. But when we took about a week or two, we learned it very quickly. And let me tell you, human mind is a quick learner. Where there is a will, there is a way. I am sure that we will embrace these technologies and their changes much faster than what we would have expected. So we come to these changes as to why these changes are necessary. Because we know one thing, COVID is bound to stay. COVID will not go. If COVID goes, there's going to be another stumbling block, another challenge. So we have to get back to school one day. I know when the vaccine comes, that is the time when we do feel safe to get back. But one day we will. And when we get back, what is our class going to be like? It's going to be something like what we were in. Yes, the building is going to be the same. The playground is going to be the same. And I think Deepak has already put my picture. He says, this is what education and pre-COVID classrooms look like. We love to walk into the classroom with our books and our pens, and because we said this is what our curriculum says so. The curriculum says you teach the topic, but the curriculum doesn't say hold a book and put up and teach that way. You like it that way, you do it that way. But there are ideologies, there are different newer emerging leaders in the class who are going to be totally different. And even children will return with a different mindset. Now, it is the acclimatization that will be our main issue when the moment they get back. So let us understand what will be the new classroom when we get back. The room will be the same, but what is going to be the layout? Social distancing will continue for some time. We all know about it. Sanitizers will be there. We know it. But what else will change? So I just want to you to write in your chat box if you can, and just let me know that this is what the new classroom is going to look like. Because you are not going to be different. I am not going to be different. You'll have the same principal, I'll have the same staff, we're going to have the same food. The furniture will also be the same. So what is it the new classroom going to be look like? And that is where your role will come in, to say that, yes, this is what my new classroom post-COVID might look like. This is going to be the new scenario. And this is going to be our new ideology. Keeping the core ideology intact, keeping the school philosophy intact, we are going to have in the post-COVID classroom, which is going to look something very different. So anybody has put in the chat box to tell me what would they be expecting in the new classroom? You see, we are talking about, so Lata, I think, said she's going to handle my chat.
Yes. So we have somebody who's written more use of technology.
Yes.
Online quizzes and online tests. More blended learning with 50% of the class coming in thrice a week. More technology in the classroom. More tech-savvy teachers. The teaching methodology will change. The post-COVID scenario will have a focus on blended learning, a flipped classroom.
Correct.
I
think they know it well, but how they've got to master it and how they've got to organize themselves is something going to be challenging. And that's what we are going to discuss. I know the classroom is going to be very different. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what the post-COVID classroom is like, and I'm going to draw some inferences, to understand that is the classroom going to be something like this, and what do you understand when you have the classroom? Because when I saw that picture, I had a lot of things to say something about that picture as well. So can we have the next slide, which talks about what the new classroom is going to look like? I thought of drawing and I thought of doing a little picture, but then of course I just took it straight. And I said the new classroom will look something like this. And if I have to ask you, some of you can just put in the chat box and say, what does it say? They're saying, the talking Sharmishta says it looks like a flexi class. It looks like a class that is there. Then we have Jagruti says it looks very blended learning. Now we are very used to the terms blended learning, the cohorts, the new normal. I know these are one of the beautiful jargons. Our dictionary is going to change, right? Now we're going to have more added words, and it's going to become more voluminous. So that's good, wonderful. But I thought to myself, yes, they're flipped classes. It's so interesting that we may have a class like this where technology is going to come in and play a very important role. This is going to be the classroom, no doubt. But what I could understand, probably you noticed that there is no actually any physical human being there, isn't it, teaching the children? They are all in class. It could be a virtual. Indumati says it's a virtual class. Quite right. It is a virtual class. It could be in school as well. But it could be a virtual class being conducted by a favorite footballer in a PE classroom, and the PE teacher sitting right at the back. And it could be that he is telling you how to play a game of football or a World Cup coming up, and he's explaining to the children. Probably he'll get the video, and he is motivating the children to get them on to the field. Because today we see only children who want to participate, the rest don't. But the rest also have rules. So the post-COVID classroom will draw everybody in, will get everybody involved. It's going to be more engaging. It's going to be more involving. It could also mean that there is a teacher who's absent, who's not been able to come into the class, and no longer will the teacher be considered absent because the teacher has the lesson ready, who is the leader, and plays a perfect role in getting everything back into the minds of the children. And by now, the children have already been acclimatized to using technology and getting used to it. But when they get back to the class, they also have their friends with them, and they also have all these, glass barriers removed, and they would be one amongst everybody, whole globe. It becomes very global, and there's so much of oneness in the teaching. So I feel that this is teaching that can happen, and it is most flexible, and the post-COVID classrooms will not require huge classrooms with everybody. And I'm sure 9 out of 10 schools will get back to this, even if their curriculum says you have to be a rote learner. Now, the rote learning is a different story. But explanation of concept is something that can never be missed out from your teaching learning process. So I find the new classroom, there are a few more things you could probably add. There could be a teacher in the class who is allowing the children to draw. New gadgets may come up in future, and these are not going to be called luxury items. There would be a very nice question that I am expecting from you, but let me just tell the question. If you wish, I can leave it for you, that not everything will happen in the smaller towns, but the smaller towns, just because nothing happens in the smaller towns, that doesn't mean we'll find a solution. There's going to be different ways of finding solution. There are even lesser privileged schools. We probably would go out, there will be outreach programs in seeing that this blended learning happens in the richer schools, in the less privileged schools as well. So we find that there's going to be a total kind of technology, and the technology is like a third parent. You see, it is parenting you, it is also guiding you. But what is the role of the leader? To feed into technology the correct amount of information, right? And to guide the children now how to use it and which route to go and which part of the technology to be used. Because it is here that we not only become techno-savvy, but we must know our subject to be able to give the resources to the children. Well, I'll come to that when the teacher is an academic leader and also plays the role of a non-academic leader. So this class looks good, but we now have a third force, now have a fourth force. I will not call the third force, a fourth element playing in the process of education. So first, we always learned education was tripolar. The process of education was tripolar in the sense you had the parent, you had the student on the top, you had the parents, and you had the teacher in the school. But today it is a fourth sector model, and you cannot do without it. You have the parent in the home who are equally passionate, equally participative, or equally, they are very interested in knowing how the children are being groomed and educated. Then, of course, the teachers and the school and the staff play a very important role in shaping. And of course, you have the society, which is always there, where the student is exposed to a kind of society which helps him nurture whatever his interests are. And finally, we do have the fourth sector that is going to play an equally important role, and that would be your ICT, your technology, and the artificial intelligence. The students will be at the top and being guided by these four sectors, and then only education could be completed. Now, how much of what will influence will depend on the outcome results of the child. Now, if they are not guided at every stage properly, if the partnership is not okay, and the teacher plays an important leadership role here in getting all these ideologies and these four sectors together so that the student gets in. That is where the role of a school comes in, to see that we bring in all these four sectors together, make it more participative. Now, no longer are we going to say, I, me, myself, and I know everything, and this is what is in the book, and that's it. We have to respect what the other sectors are saying, and we have to correct if anything goes wrong. So it's going to be something that will be too many things in the life of a student. But I must tell you, students have already embraced technology. They already know all about it, but probably they know a little more about it. So we need to know a little more about it as well. We also need to know, this is where we need to be very, very, different, very unique, and we have to learn. And let me tell you, age is never a barrier. We all can learn at any time, any day, because learning happens as long as our mental faculties are working. Learning stops the day you decide, I don't want to learn anymore. So I think we are so lucky that I keep telling myself, because I've completed 35 years and this is my 36th year in education, and I tell myself, do I have to see this? But I always tell myself after a moment's reflection that, well, I think I'm lucky to have seen this, because I feel so empowered. It's not the degree that has empowered me. It is not my position that is empowering me. It is my leadership in knowing all this that has empowered me. And that is what I about all the futuristic leaders. I feel about the teachers. And I also feel that we must reach out to the others also to make them feel more empowered so that the students are in sync with us. And they have embraced technology. They have embraced these ideologies of technologies, and they are into more and more into it, so that by, I think, the next generation that comes in is going to be a different story. Already I am told that a little child of 1.5, 2 years, one of my teacher's child, knows that the moment you have to go out, when you tell a little child you have to go out, she just quickly brings out, or he brings, his shoes and says, Papa, let's go out. But this child gets a mask also. So I found it very cute when I was told about it, because I understood that it's embedded in the child's mind, health, hygiene. This is also a part, because same way technology, the child will pick up a cell phone, look out for a cell phone. So the newer generation is growing with newer ideas and newer ideologies, and it is for us as leaders to get it synced into their ideologies, but to take it forward in a very positive manner. Now, what kind of leaders are we looking at in the class? We have already got questions. When I had answers, when I had asked you what is the new class looking like, we have already got used to the fact that there is going to be blended learning. It's definitely going to be blended learning, and we have to adopt this. The sooner we do, the better it is. Like last night, I was watching the ET Education, which is a wonderful program you all should also watch, because they bring in new set of educators and different types of people from different genre of education to discuss about how these influences are important for children. Now, the new adopted blended learning talks about how it has to change. The whole methodology is going to change, and the teacher will be trained for it and is already getting trained, but probably a structured training is very necessary to explain to them that now it's going to be more engaging. And it's going to be engaging and in control of the individual learning experience. When I say the individual learning experience, what I mean to say is that we are going to take case studies, because we know that it is individual differences. So we do not go by the fact, and we teach the children there's nothing as a herd mentality. There is nothing that you have to follow what your peer wants. You are unique, and so your engagement with the academic leader will get into this engagement and look into every need of a child. It's going to be more interactive. The instructional leadership days will slowly diminish, and in its place will come a leadership of style, which will be more interactive. And this will be a total shift from the conventional type of education and teaching methodology. And this teaching and learning methodology will be more through senses and skills. We all know we need a skill-based technology. We know that we need a skill-based learning, because we find that every child we go by the soft skills, no doubt, but this is going to be something different. And finally, when the knowledge is gained in the class, every student will be allowed to digitally develop his 3 main skills. The first is the critical thinking skill, because he makes use of use of all your digital development skills, and he's able to harness how to get into logical reasoning and how to solve. The problem solving method will always come into being, and very specified subjects will also help him to be very easy, will help him to understand and comprehend it easily. So here the facilitator and the leader of the class and the school will have to play a very big role in getting this streamlined, to see this blended lending has the right dosage of both technology and the physical presence. You can't do away with physical presence. Whatever picture I showed you, please let me tell you, that is not going to be the only picture and you're going to sit down and you're just going to sit in front of the screen. You have to move around, because the emotional development is required. And when they come back, the emotional development would have taken a very different level. So you have to bring it to the standardized level of making every student comfortable. comfortable. Because we are reading umpteen articles, please don't read all the articles. Try and also rationalize, try and understand that is it this what is going to happen, or is it how and get yourself prepared, get yourself ready to embrace all this. You're going to have a class that is going to interact so much with you, because you have to be a good listener. Generally, we say leaders only like to talk, like to give you all kinds of instructions, love to share only their views. But there has to be a time when you have to listen to a child. And this is going to become more important the moment in the post-COVID classroom. So we also, while we listen to them, we also have different adopting of multi-learning channels. I will not go into the technology part so much, because every school's mail is flooded with different kinds of apps and learning technology and channels, but they will have to be used. And these are Gen Alpha children. Now, I was looking into who are these Gen Alpha? Why do we call them Gen Alpha? There is this Crinkle survey group in Australia. The Crinkle or Crinkle, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not getting it right. But that's how they have given this nomenclature to a group of children. And these children will perhaps continue up to 2025. And 5 years is good enough to tell you the mammoth changes that are going to come into the society. And more so in the education sector, because the education sector is going to change in a big way. Corporate already had it, but they have a small group and compared to us. They stay in different parts. But education sector, you have K-12. You are nurturing children right from the tender age of 3 right up to the turbulent age of 18 years. Isn't it? Look, what a wonderful role we all have. And what a wonderful opportunity we all have to see that we have a generation, we have 2-3 generations in our hand to take care of. So why not? Let's all get ready. Let's all get the post-COVID classroom ready for each and everybody by using these blended learning methodologies, by adopting the right kind of channels, by listening to the children, by keeping them engaged, and by keeping the syllabus also going, which can be possible, and believe me, it is going to be done. Now, while the academic leaders look into it, the same leader can also look into non-academic leadership, because every leader has to create a leader, right? You are not going to remain there forever in the same manner. So you have to bring in a lot of small club activities. And now the jargon of these club activities are going to change. There's going to be 3 main important topics where we are going to hover around and branch out in the post-COVID era. First is health and hygiene. Everybody has understood that we have to take care of the health. We have to take care of the hygiene, because the pandemic has taught us that there is no way, it doesn't look into your caste, creed, your area, your richness, or it doesn't look at the poverty, or it doesn't look whether you're in the North Pole or the South Pole. Diseases can strike anybody. Hygiene is, if it is not there, we are bound to be annihilated and wiped out. So I think before the species gets wiped out from this planet, I think this is one thing that we need to learn, and how to respect the environment. Now, a new thing that will come out is probably we feel that power need not be as many as it used to be earlier. But I have already thought and planned in my mind as a leader that I'm going to utilize all. And utilizing all is by teaching everybody how to get digital, how to get more used to digital ideas, and how to take it forward, and how to be well trained. As far as children are concerned, this will create one great club for them. The other great club that would create for them will be the Enviro Club, where probably there won't be too many books and too many paper writing. And then, of course, the very important will be your discipline, because you have got to be disciplined. The discipline part will never go. Disciplining children will never go. You don't have to sit and mollycoddle all the time, because the cyber is going to create havoc. Children are bound to be using these technologies in a wrong way. So we can create a lot of cyber leaders. And at the end, what I can say is these are all going to be our very smart leaders and very digital leaders. So at the same time, what is going to happen is there are going to be a lot of these empathetic leaders also, because we need to understand that what one has gone through in the class in the last 5 months, which is almost becoming 6 months, and God knows, maybe we'll add a few more months of this kind of teaching, and before we actually get back, and before the new normal really happens, it may even take a year or two, even though we get back in very staggered manner. But the real normal will be seen only at the end of probably next year. That's what I guess. And if sooner, then any day the better. But definitely it's going to be just with the same speed as we got onto online, we will get offline and online. But definitely it is not going to be like the traditional system, because we have seen every board is also changing. They are trying to give it a new perspective. But yes, of course, we will not dilute the core values. We will not dilute anything that we know that is important for education. So cyber leadership and having more of IT leaders will be something into the education system is going to be something that is going to be blended. But of course, we will also have a lot of sports which will become more important, and also a lot of resource leaders, because children have come in with a lot of resources, and as leaders we are supposed to be harnessing all those resources for them. So these children, there's going to be, what I can say at the end of the day, there's going to be a surge of artificial intelligence, right? And there's going to be so much that we have to know how to control it, how to harness the right AI, because we can't expect a class 5 child to get into robotics in a big way, because there is an age, there is a mind. Okay, now we do not consider them intelligent, because so this is where the leader first will have to see how to get into it. There's going to be a lot. We are going to be all innovative leaders. Now we've become smart. We know how to get our innovation done in the classrooms. And then, of course, I can see Naveen has raised his hand. Naveen, would you like to ask a question or something? Or can I just about complete it? Okay, I think I can't see him here. So probably Lata will help me with this. All right. So we find that we have a great innovation and great design thinking also will come into force. So we get to understand that the Gen Alpha, the new generation of children, along with their teachers as leaders and the school management as their leaders, they are going to look into all these aspects of the new classes that are going to start off. So what are the immediate takeaways that we're going to have today? So probably we have to understand that what is actually needed for every new leader. We must learn to respond to challenges with optimism and with an open mind. It is very essential, because challenges are going to be more, and to respond to these challenges is going to be easy for us if only we are optimistic. I am a happy soul. Just tell yourself that. And I know whatever I do, I will be able to get into it. Then coming the celebrating the real world complexes and unpredictable situation. Nobody can talk about, nobody can tell you, when the tsunami also struck in South India, nobody ever knew. They went for a walk just like the way they thought they would go one fine morning, and it struck them, and for some time we talked about it, and everything was forgotten. But we did put the protective measures. But however, it was only one part. But there could be greater catastrophe, and we have to learn that to celebrate this real world complexes, we need, and these unpredictable situations is just like, finding another door to a solution and walking into another arena. So this is needed in your approach, how to get into this kind of optimism. And what do we learn? Finally, when we see that at the end of it all, we have found that there are so many things that have happened during these during the COVID session. And this is what we are learning even now. We have learned that there is a lot of, we get back with a lot of ethics, lot of academic integrity, and probably I feel, and you may agree or disagree with me, the clamor for marks will be not that much as it used to be. We need assessments, no doubt. We need to assess ourselves and have examinations, but the grades and point system and the boundaries are going to play more important. And also along with it, whatever we build up in our profile is going to be the most important. And this building of a profile is not for getting into a big university. It is to keep you very intact so that you are able to face any challenges, take up any kind of jobs. Then of course, difficult times that we have survived. And so it is this attitude of gratitude that needs to be always there. We can go on, and I don't know how much time we have still, but then I thought I would love, Lata, if we could, have a few sessions. But I would like to just conclude with the quotation of Ken Robinson. I like the way he talks about that creativity. Hey, this is not the end. Now the creativity comes back. We are educating people, out of their capacities. And I believe this passionately, because when that we do into creativity, we grow out of it, or rather get educated out of it. So creativity comes back, design thinking comes back, and along with the technology. So the newer emerging leader is going to be a very strong leader, very resilient and very creative. Thank you. Any questions? We can have a few interactions. I think the thank you is okay for listening to me. And
yes, ma'am. I think we already have a few questions in the chat box, and I would request everyone on Facebook also to put in their questions in the comment section so we can take it from there. Let's start with Naveen's question first.
Mm-hmm. He was raising his hand, even before I finished, and that got me a little distracted. Am I talking too much? That's what. Yes, Naveen.
It's fine. So Naveen's question is, ma'am, he's put it in the chat box. I'm going to read it out. For how long do you think students will have to attend online or virtual classes?
Pardon, just get back to the question.
For how long will students have to attend online or virtual classes?
We are not very sure, because much as you and I would love to have our children back into the classroom, nobody can talk about it. See, me being in Mumbai, I can talk for Mumbai, that it is going to take some time. Probably in other parts of the country, if things are fine, I would vouch for it that they must get back as soon as possible, because we have to learn to live with this. We have to find a solution. We don't have to find that vaccine is the only solution, right? Everybody says, oh, only when the vaccine comes, we're going. Why can't we maintain social distancing? Why can't we be more careful? Why can't we educate one another? Like I have told some of my students, please start educating one another. Nothing will go wrong with you. Keep yourself safe. Come back. Do your washing. My doctor cousins, brothers, and all who are doctors, they have been saying that all that you have to do is wash your hands. Keep yourself clean. Learn with the COVID. They say, no, love conquers love. COVID will kill COVID. That's what we do.
All right. We have the next question is from Anita. She asks that, do you think online education coupled with AI will make regular schooling gradually redundant?
It will never become redundant. Schools, believe me, will never become redundant. Tell me one thing. Just sitting at home, and if you are doing technology and AI, is that child something same like a child who is in the class, moving with peers, working in groups, fighting with one another, sharing your tiffin, okay, using technology, I think is a different child who can stand out in the world. We are not looking out for nerds. We are looking out for nerds with social compatibility. So school will never become redundant. Take it from me. Schools will never become redundant.
I think social compatibility, I think that's a very, very important point. The next question is from Sarita. She asks how to monitor students when they're offline, because the learning process goes beyond the online classrooms. So how do we monitor their offline activity?
You see, you can upload a lot of their worksheets for them. You can upload a lot of tasks for them. You can give them a little freedom and projects. And now children are so smart that they form their own Zoom sessions and they work on their same projects. You don't have to monitor like a teacher sitting in the class and saying, are you doing this offline? You can give them the task, get back, and if the result has been good, you have monitored well. And if the result has not been good, the effect has not been good, you have not monitored. You have to again get back.
All right. The next question is, how can we overcome the unavailability of technical accessories for each student?
Yes, that would definitely be a problem, because I do see that in some homes there are 2 children and it's not accessible, it's not correct. So probably when we get back, I'm talking about the post-COVID classroom, we are not going to make them sit all the time online. And now we have a timeline and a timetable, so it becomes a little difficult. But yes, of course, there can also be a sharing of technology. We can teach them. We can teach them how to share one laptop between 3. What's wrong? They can get together, probably when they get together and they learn. That's what happens even in schools which has lesser computers in their computer lab than the number of children, right? Now, some schools, of course, they do have, that's different, but not all schools are the same. But that doesn't mean learning doesn't happen. Learning can still happen. Accessibility can be given, and it can also be worked upon it easily. It's not going to be difficult.
Okay, so Srinath says that once the vaccination for COVID-19 comes out, then half the work is over. Teaching will remain the same as school reopens. But what do we need to do? What are the steps we need to take as teachers once school reopens now?
See, the first step, that is first to keep yourself secure. Because if you as a leader do not lead properly, your children are not going to watch you. They're watching you all the time. So you have to follow the norms that will be given to you by every school will have a policy. Follow that policy to the point, and the vaccine coming or not coming is a different story. There's a vaccine only for COVID. We need N number of vaccines in the future to be coming. Let's take one at a time, see that we are secure, and then learn to keep the children secure.
Okay. What initiatives can be taken to ensure outreach, especially in tribal areas and economically backward areas? It is still far beyond their reach to even have a mobile or a smart class or any other tool. How can we ensure continuity in education for such students?
I know that's a question that's coming up everywhere, and it's a very common question. And it is, of course, in our country, it is a challenge, a big challenge, that how do we reach out to them and how do they reach out to us? That is definitely there, but we should not take it as a problem. We have to find a solution. And I'm sure that there was a time, there were no telephones. And I remember, being in Srinagar and as far as Jammu and Kashmir, the soldiers could never even reach out to their families. But they did bring in a technology. Only thing is, it has to be done with a quicker pace, and education is rich enough. And there are lots of corporate sectors who do a lot of these outreach programs, and we should appreciate them because they look into all these things. So definitely, it is the problem we may generally have is the bandwidth and Wi-Fi, and I'm sure that is becoming the need of the hour, and these giant companies are working towards it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Another year or so, it's going to be different. There's going to be a good reach.
Okay, we have a question from a viewer on Facebook. How should we teach the blended learning approach? Actually, how do we apply the blended learning approach to a primary classroom?
Yeah, for the little children, I know it is very different, because there used to be a lot of these hue and cry that why are you having screen time for them? And my question was, are they not watching the cartoons all the time? So why don't they spare some time for me? That's what the teacher said. Because, we don't want them to forget that there is no teacher in their life. They need to have a teacher because that's what they're growing. So we will have blended classroom also for them by taking the right kind of module. You see, what happens is we must know what kind of module attracts them and what is good for their mental and social and emotional growth. So that will be designed, and it is already designed in some places. The children just enjoy it. You call out their name when they call them to the screen time, they'll enjoy it. You get them connected with their they start enjoying. They say, can you see Preeti? Can you see Rekha? Can you see Tom? Can you see Deepak? Things like that. Like if we start away now here, then you start enjoying, isn't it? So it's going to be, the blended teaching is going to be good. They have actually the pre-primary and primary are absolutely fine. They in fact think schooling is going to be like this. They wear their uniform, they sit in front of the screen.
Okay. This is another question that has been coming up in a lot of webinars lately. Do you think the assessment pattern will remain the same or change? There is another similar question: how to assess students' progress who have no access to online classes. Could you share your experience with summative assessments in online education? So I think overall on assessments, if you could just give us.
Yes. I think that's a challenge. Yes. I also felt that how do we assess, because it was more like a one way, then we made it two ways, where we allowed, like the way you're talking to me and I'm talking to you and the chat boxes is happening. But I know that effect doesn't come. And how are we going to do the assessment? So we'll have to think about the different ways of assessment, and we are hoping the boards will give us a common platform assessment. Like already, I think in the international boards, we are already doing it, where there is a way to proctor the assessments, and you give a given time. That is where the integrity and the ethic will come in every child. The moment the child opens, says, oh, I've got an assessment and within 3 hours I've got to complete it, the child will do it within 3 hours and will not look into anything. And even if the child has looked into, I tell my teachers there's nothing wrong, because that much of time is wasted. You have to finish. If you make it time bound, and if you get someone to proctor it, online assessments are done there.
Okay. We have a question. Again, a lot is being said about the mental health of students. Any tips on how to address stress because of online classes?
Yes, I think this is a stress. They are going through a stress. They are not able to go out, even for a little cycling. When I see a child in the garden, the park nearby cycling, I can see the happiness in the child, because all this is affecting them mentally, and it should not create a block. My worry is they may learn to live with it, but we have to get them out of this block. So I would suggest that there should be more of interaction with the children online. May not be from academic point of view, but also probably as a discussion. Here the counselors also play an important role. There is a role of a chief counselor, and every leader has to take up the role of a counselor. We don't have to send them to the psychology department to get it.
Yeah. We have another question on Facebook. How do we fill learning gaps that have been left in the last 3 months, especially in the case of practicals and other activities that actually require children to be present in school?
Well, I think the boards have all understood that they have truncated the syllabus. And however, there are virtual practical classes also. There are beautiful, I think, apps and all, which we'll talk about. Probably the feel may not be there. And perhaps we are optimistic that once they are back in small groups, the practicals can happen. So definitely it's not going to be the same like what it is to be in the lab and watching your teacher, fuming and fretting along with the apparatus in the chemistry room, right? So the fumes are always there. Here you don't get to smell the fumes.
Yeah.
You have to see the fumes, but you have to learn about it. Probably you master your theory now, and the last month that will be there will be only all your practicals.
Okay. What happens to the teachers who are good with teaching and content but are unable to adapt to technology? Will the new system wean these teachers away?
Not at all. I have seen that teachers who have been so good in their content and did not know much about technology have learned to embrace technology faster than the others, because they know exactly when to use that technology. What has happened is the ones who are already into technology do not do the necessary kind of content, isn't it? So probably they will never get redundant. Probably they may need assistance for some time to help them to log in and to get the system in place, but definitely they will not get redundant.
Okay. We have another question, ma'am, that says there are a lot of children, again, this is from a very economic background point of view, that they are unable to attend online classes now. They may have connectivity issues in far-flung areas. How do we integrate these students back post-COVID once the classroom is back? How do we integrate these children on whatever learning that they have missed out?
You know, we have to record most of our lessons. I would say that let us come up, and already there are so many academies that have already come up with a lot of these capsules. The government themselves are coming up with a lot of these learning modules, and probably these learning modules could be sent to them. And I know they may not be able to see it, but they may have to, you know, go to a community township hall or somewhere where the preparation would be made. But however, in schools that are well off, my plan would be to adopt some of these schools. And it would be lovely that, I know your World School, Aditya Birla World School does a fabulous job. And we all also have taken so many municipal schools also under our, we tell them, okay, we'd love you to, take our help, and we'd love you to give you, because now nobody wants food. Food is there. It's being met with, it's being provided with. What people want is now technology. And they want to see, you read so many things and all, then you feel. And I'm sure this is going to be our new perspective. This is going to be our new perception, that when the children come back, they will feel that let's share our technology with them. That is, sharing will help, and it's going to happen.
I think it's important that we all come together as a community and, help each other in any way, actually, technology sharing.
Programs will help in a big way. Because we already have so many foundations that have already reached out to them. And they were reaching out to them earlier just by training them for leadership or training them to do farming and all. Now the training and everything will change. It will be like, listen, I've got this digital thing for you, use it. And I will come back and we are going to sit and explain everything to you. Yeah.
Okay. I have one last question for you, ma'am. We're talking about, since we're looking at this from a very futuristic point of view, what does the classroom of 2040 look like to you?
Fantastic. I wish I'm going to live to see it. There may be a space classroom also, and I'm sure the classrooms will remain as classrooms. Don't ever think that there may be no cells, no bells, right? Like we do it with the little children. You may not have walls, okay? It will be seamless, okay? It will not have barriers. And probably the classes will take place in smaller groups, and there will be more of interaction with one another. And together also, they are going to have a lot of brainstorming and a lot of development, a lot of robot technology will come. And it's going to be fantastic. May not be utopian, but it gets made utopian, right?
Yeah. We have another question here. Why can't all CBSE schools follow? Okay. So the question is basically that can we teach through TV during this period? And if there is a similar textbook for everybody to use, it will be easier to reach out to more people. Do you think this is doable?
No, but already most of the textbooks have their resources, right? Even CBSE is also. CBSE is a fantastic syllabus, let me tell you. I have gone through, actually I'm fortunate enough to have dabbled in all the boards. And let me tell you, CBSE has also got a fantastic content. It's only, everything depends on how the transaction of curriculum happens. And once that transaction is understood in the post-COVID era of what all I have explained to you, let me tell you, you and your students are going to have a fantastic time. It's going to be a fabulous time.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I'm calling Anuradha ma'am on board now to take it from here.
Thank you, ma'am. And when you say embracing the change and the complexities, this itself sounds like such a big and huge word. And when the word change we say is always it's assumed or perceived with some kind of a fear. But I think hearing from you, your smiling face and the tips that you gave to all of us and all the teachers and principals listening out just made it look like a cakewalk. I must really say that. And when you talked about being open-minded, being optimistic, embracing the complexities, and what really is going to change is the attitude of gratitude, living with the changes, bringing in the academic strength. And when you were talking about comparing, the pillars of strength, both for the students, the parents, as well as the teachers, and now having environment as well as technology. I think these are little pearls of wisdom that you have actually given us today. It was such an enriching 1 hour that we've spent with you, ma'am. And thank you for bringing in all of your experience. The richness of your talk has really made us all very rich today by listening to you. And thank you for accepting our invitation to come and spend this hour and talking to our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to all the participants who have joined us in such large numbers. We must say that we've got about 200 and odd numbers on the Zoom link and many more on the Facebook Live. It's really overwhelming response for our session. Thank you for being there. Please do join us every Monday on these masterclasses. Hope to see you there and make these connections. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe until then. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.